This crispy chicken is from a taco place.
This crispy chicken is from a taco place?
The taco place?
Taco place. It comes in a burrito, too?
From your taco place, it's also a chicken place that's also a taco place.
Check out the all-new Blue and Orange store at the Boise State Hall of Fame. The Blue and Orange store has your best game day gear. We're talking jerseys, hats, bumper stickers, car flags, more than 4,000 hats on the hat wall. If you want the best Boise State gear, make sure you check out the Blue and Orange store online at theblueandorangestore.com or the all-new Blue and Orange store down at the Boise State Allen Noble Hall of Fame.
It's the fall kickoff sale at Lithia Ford of Boise. It's the best time to trade in and trade up to a new Ford truck or SUV with the room to haul your payload or playload. Visit Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Bronco fans, the new Boise State trading cars are here, and you can only get them at Jackson's.
Start collecting them today.
Jackson's, let's go!
And final blade of grass. Done. And done. Who knew it'd take 2,007 man-hours to paint 47,962,053 blades of grass? Smells like game day. Whoa, it's not dry yet.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live is the only daily show that talks nothing but Boise State sports. And we do it with you. Give us your comments or questions in the ICCU YouTube chat. Or leave us a voicemail on the Signature Roofing voice inbox at speakpipe.com/BNN. BNN Live is presented by our title sponsor, RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, and our major sponsors, Jackson's, Taco Bell, Idaho Central Credit Union, Lithia Ford of Boise, and the Blue and Orange store. For more coverage of Boise State athletics, check out the all-new BroncoNationNews.com, now part of the 247 Sports family. Now, here's five-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, what's going on? Good morning, everybody. How we doing, Bronco Nation? It is a Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. My name is BJ Rains, and this is Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. Winston Venable going to be along shortly. We'll talk some football. Max Cutforth with some interesting comments. Dylan Riley and the plan to try to get him the ball more. I was out of practice yesterday, so we'll talk plenty of football coming up. But did want to start with basketball for a couple minutes. And, of course, our title sponsor, RowPaint.com. All your painting needs, make sure you hit up Andy Rowe and our title sponsor, RowPaint.com. You see all of our other great sponsors at the bottom of the screen. We'll tell you about them throughout this show. But you are watching a free show today, folks, or listening to a free show. So please do support our sponsors that make this show possible, Bronco Nation News and BroncoNationNews.com. As I said, going to talk some football, but I think you got to start basketball after the win last night against UTRGV, 85-65. Second straight game, the Broncos win by 20 points. Second straight game, the Broncos exceed the Ken Palm number. Supposed to win by 17, they win by 20. A lot of really nice signs last night in the game. Andrew Meadow, 21 points. You had 15 from Javen Buchanan, 12 from Dylan Andrews, 11 from Spencer Aarons. So overall, Boise State shot the ball pretty well, almost 50% from the field, 10 of 22 from three-point range. So they shot the ball well from the outside and rebounded the ball extremely well. 44-20 advantage on the glass and only gave up 4 offensive rebounds to the Vaqueros. So did a lot of things good. One negative you do have to clean up is the 20 turnovers, but that's kind of the way the Vaqueros play, where there's just some turnovers back and forth. And they had 20 turnovers themselves, I think, and Boise State did commit 20 turnovers. But overall, a lot to like from that game, even getting guys like Pearson Carmichael going in the second half, 9 points for him, 3 of 3 from the field. I thought that was big. So a lot of things to like from that game. Spencer Aarons, the freshman, again coming off the bench with 11. A.G. Nato had 6 and also had a couple of assists as well. So overall, a lot to like on a typical R.J. Keene game, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 points. But he made his presence known while he was out there. So I really liked the win. I thought it was a nice win for Boise State basketball. If you were at the game, you can give us your thoughts. If you watched the game on the Mountain West Network, you can give us your thoughts. But it was a nice win. They spread the ball around pretty nicely, and overall, the momentum continues to build for this team as they continue to put that game against Hawaii Pacific behind them. They come out against Utah Valley and win by 24 when they're supposed to win by 10, and then they're supposed to win by 17, and they win by 20 today. So I'm sure some of you in the chat will find some things to be negative about or whatever, but overall, I think that the team the last 2 games has been much more like the team we thought that we were going to see. We'll get to your comments in the ICCU YouTube chat. Bronco 130 starting it off. Liked how we slowly pulled away. The win was never in doubt. Yeah, I never really got that sense after the first 5 or 6 minutes that this team was going to beat them. They were kind of ahead by 10-12 most of the game, and then I thought that was a nice finishing push when there was about 7 minutes to go, and I think they were up 9 or 10 after a couple buckets from UTRGV, and Boise State was able to extend the lead out to 20 with a nice run. I think Javen hit a couple threes, so put the foot down there, won the game by 20. I thought that was very nice to see, and it was a good finish because all those numbers do matter. And I know you don't want to – it shouldn't be this way in basketball. It really shouldn't, but a 20-point win is a lot more impressive than a 12-point win when it comes to the metrics and things like that. So overall, I thought that it was a game that Boise State, did what they needed to do. They were able to win the game. They were able to win the game by the right score. And in that, from that standpoint, as I send Winston Venable the link here, because I forgot to do it, there's a lot to like and a lot to look forward to moving forward. They do have the game on Saturday against Montana State. That'll be the RJ Keene brother matchup on Saturday. That'll be 2:00 on Saturday. And then Wichita State, that should be a fun one. You would expect close to a sellout for that. Probably a good Wichita State program who's had a couple nice wins coming in next Tuesday for a marquee non-conference game. So we'll see what that looks like. Linda saying, what's going on with Peanut? Seemed to do better in the second half. I don't think anything's going on. Just, trying to find his rhythm, trying to find his role. A lot of pressure and expectations on him coming into the season, and has gotten off to a little bit of a slow start, but and kind of been snake bit with some of the turnovers and things going wrong whenever they can. But second half, he came out and had a couple nice shots and played much better in the second half. So it was fun to see him smiling out there, and I think hopefully if he can have that, joy that he was playing with in the second half, and some things will start to go his way. But I thought there was a lot, I thought that Pearson Carmichael played really well in the second half, and that was an encouraging sign moving forward is how he played. We are going to talk football with Winston Venable here in a couple of minutes. If you just joined us, we're starting the show talking basketball and the win last night over UTRGV. Andrew saying good W. Meadow turned it up. Yeah, how about Andrew Meadow last night, folks? He went 8 of 12 from the field, 2 of 4 from three-point range, had a dunk, had a couple nice takes to the basket, also added 5 rebounds, 3 assists in 34 minutes. So he was showing off his whole game, and I thought his ability to get to the basket and finish with some contact there in the lane was nice to see as well. So I thought that I thought that was another positive sign, was seeing Andrew Meadow and what he did for, continues to do. That was nice to see. 21 points last night. Am I coming to Idaho Falls? To be determined. The plan as of now is yes. We're trying to make that work though with a bowl game, figuring out how we can get there. If they are in the LA Bowl the night before in LA, that could make things a little bit tougher. So to be determined. But yes, I've been 0 for 2 due to football games the last 2 years. But I am hoping, if all works out, to make it over to Idaho Falls for the game this year. But it obviously will depend on the football bowl game there. Mountain West Network was freezing up. Yeah, I've heard some things about that. Sorry about that. Why didn't we stream the game? Mentioned that last night on the pregame show. You must have missed that. But the program that we use only gets the feed for certain games from the Mountain West. They only paid for a certain number of games from the Mountain West, and they did not have a feed from that game. So found out late afternoon they would not be able to stream the game, and I do apologize for that. But frankly, there's you had the Mountain West Network, and it's the same feed that I'm just pulling in through YouTube that you could have watched on their site. So it's not that much different. Would have been more fun, obviously, for us to have it and be able to chat in the YouTube chat here. I am hoping for Saturday we could have it for the Montana State game or the Wichita State game. One or two of those games I am hoping moving forward, but that was out of my control. I was all set and ready to do it, and found out about 3:00 that they would not be getting the feed for that one. And so I guess they don't have full access to all the Mountain West Network games. They just pay for some of the games, and so they did not have that game. So apologize for it, but hopefully you guys were all still able to find a way to watch that game. Hard time adjusting to Meadow without the goggles. I've always called him goggles. Yeah, you could have called him hair last year and goggles, and now they're all gone. I mean, he looks like a completely different person with no hair and no goggles. And I thought it was kind of just a talking point. It's a cool storyline to try to switch up the mojo. Oh, I can see better with, in my peripheral vision without the goggles. But it turns out there may be something to it with the contacts. He can see a lot further around to the side than he could with the goggles. And he almost kind of had blinders on, I guess, but just never knew any different because that's what he'd always done his whole life and just dealt with it. And apparently he's seeing the floor a lot better and helping him kind of his overall game defensively, offensively kind of flourish here. And you really can't argue with the results. I think he had 18 2 games ago, and I think he had 21 last night. So as Ashley said, you can always call him Goggles. He'll always be Goggles in my mind. But he definitely looks like a different person when you look at him, but he's playing very well right now. And whatever the reason is for that, that's certainly something you like to see him continue to play well moving forward here. Turnovers looked kind of sloppy, but I have hope for Aarons and Andrews. Defense looks good. Boise State needs a 3-point game. It's what killed us every year in the tourney. Well, they made 10 3-pointers last night, Brian. So 10 for 22, 45%. You'd take that every time. So they had a 3-point game last year. I think they're going to have a 3-point game moving forward. And I thought last night they did. 10 of 22, 45.5%. Dylan Andrews made 2. Meadow made 2. Javen Buchanan was 3 of 5. Nato and Carmichael both made their only attempts from 3. And then Spencer Aarons was 1 for 3 from deep as well. So I thought last night they actually shot the ball pretty well from the 3-point line. And you mentioned the turnovers. Yeah, 20 turnovers, just too many. Can't have 20 turnovers. That's too many in a game. But part of that was the way that the Vaqueros were playing, just a really quick tempo, high tempo, kind of game, and they were wanting to go quick. And then, 19-point game with 2 minutes left, and they were full court pressing. I don't know what you guys thought of that. I thought that was a little just take your check and head on home. I don't know if you need to be full court pressing when you're down by 19 points with about 2 minutes to go. I thought that was a little bit unnecessary at that point. But either way, yeah, the 20 turnovers are too many, especially the 9 from your start, your point guards. Nato had 6. Nato does a lot of great things, but he's still sped up just a little bit too much. And 6 turnovers in 15 minutes, definitely too much for Nato. But I love that he attacks the basket, not afraid to get in there, and nothing seems to faze him. And you'll take a couple turnovers if it also means some big time plays. So, but do need to cut down a little bit. 6 turnovers on Nato, and then Dylan Andrews had 3. But that's not terrible. 3 turnovers in 29 minutes. Still had more assists and turnovers, so you'll probably take that. Drew Fielder. Needs to be more of a presence. Good game than nothing. I know he was kind of in foul trouble. Yeah, he's been in foul trouble a couple games, and that's got to be super frustrating for him. So, yeah, you can't have Drew Fielder scoring 0 points very often. Leon Rice said, I hope I never see that again, and expect to win many games. So, from that standpoint, yes, you don't like seeing Drew Fielder score 0. He's got to be more aggressive. He's got to stay out of foul trouble and stay on the floor. When you saw what he did against Utah Valley, scoring, the first 9 points of the game. That's what you want to see. Getting that first foul 90 seconds into the game and Leon Rice getting the technical foul right after he had, just had a game where he was frustrated because he had a lot of fouls. And then he gets a foul 90 seconds in on a bad call. That kind of, again, messed with him yesterday. But that wasn't good. 0 points. But I guess the flip side is you hope that's not going to happen very often. And if you can score 85 points with one of your best scorers getting 0, that's a good sign moving forward here, because I really do think it's going to be a different guy on every night. That's what Javen Buchanan was talking about in the post game. And so maybe one game it's Meadow getting 21, one time it's Buchanan getting 21, or Fielder getting 20 plus. I think you certainly have different guys on different nights that can score. This team's going to have some offensive weapons, and to score 85 points with Drew Fielder getting 0, I thought was a very nice sign moving forward for this basketball team, that they have a number of different guys that can step up when needed. The tech was needed. It was worth it. Yeah, probably helped them get a little calls later in the game, but that was a pretty weak call, I thought, at that point in the game. So thought Leon was going to get ejected. Yeah, it was pretty close. Pretty close. It was a situation where he probably knows his limit, but that was definitely he was heated and got the tee and kept it going for a little bit. Usually they give you a little leeway, unless you're saying something super bad after the first one. They usually don't have a quick trigger on the second one, but he knows how to work the refs, and he knows where that line is. And maybe he thought that early tech was going to help him get some calls later in the game, and it certainly did. Some shooters on this team, exciting. Just need to get the defense locked down, and we'll be solid. Like I said, the defense certainly isn't where they want to be. They did move up 10 spots in the Ken Pom defensive rankings. After the game, they're up to 59th at Ken Pom in defense. Again, that top 30 is really that number you'd like to get in if you can. But, you did hold a Rio Grande Valley team to 65 points that, had just scored 95 in their previous game, and it scored 81 at Baylor, and you hold them to 65. So I thought the defense was better. Still not great. You still let them shoot too much of a percentage than you'd like to. They shot 47% from the field, so you'd like to limit, bring that down, but held them to 40% in the second half when you're able to kind of pull away and win by 20. So overall, a lot to like. 20-point win, and the Broncos are 2-1 and continue to show that game against Hawaii Pacific was just kind of a unfortunate first game flop, and we'll see if they can continue to rebound from that. But 2 games in, 2 nice wins for the metrics, 2 nice encouraging wins for a lot of things that you're seeing out there. And again, we've got full coverage, interviews up on our YouTube channel, post-game show with Abe Jackson up on our YouTube channel, recap as well on the website. So lots of coverage from last night's basketball win. And again, you can check all that out at BroncoNationNews.com. It is Wednesday, though, and obviously want to bring in our man Winston Venable to talk some football. A lot to get to with Winston. I could have let Winston come in and talk basketball. I know he's a hoop.
Yeah, man. I watched the little hoops last night.
I know you're a big hoop rock fan, so maybe moving forward here, we'll just let you take on the basketball analysis. But I thought that I'd bring you on to mostly talk football today, but a lot going on, getting set for the San Diego State game. Bronco Nation's feeling a little better after a couple basketball wins now, and hopefully the tide is turning here down the stretch for the football and basketball teams here in Bronco Nation.
Yeah, what a great time of the year. Getting hoops underway, a little football action still. I know the girls soccer wrapped up in an unfortunate one, but a lot of action going on in old Bronco Nation, Boise State Broncos, man. So exciting time of the year, kind of football rising up, month of November, hoops starting. There's a lot of entertainment out there on TV, and the Mountain West Network, all those type of things. Was able to check out most of the second half of the hoop game, but good time for Bronco Nation to support the boys and girls out there that are competing.
No doubt about it, Winston. And I wanted to talk to you about a lot of different things, but mostly, some of the interviews yesterday. We talked to Max Cutforth. I have a clip I want to play from him. A very confident guy moving forward, and I thought, maybe he was kind of put in a little tough spot with some of the questions, and I thought he handled it pretty well in terms of wanting to keep this job moving forward and how he compares himself to Maddox Madsen and things like that. So I wanted to get your take kind of in the players, coaches perspective of that. And then Dylan Riley, we talked on Monday with Spencer Danielson and Nate Potter that they're just saying basically it can't happen. It's unacceptable for Dylan Riley to only get 6 touches in a game. And you look at the stats, when he gets at least 10 carries, they're 5-0. And based on how quickly Spencer responded to my question, I think they know that, and I think they want to try to get Dylan Riley more action. So we got a clip from Spencer and Nate Potter on that as well. But overall, back at practice yesterday, I was out there for the full 2-hour practice. spirited practice, I would say. First practice back in pads after the bye week. You had it was pretty physical and guys getting after it a little bit. And obviously all eyes were on the quarterbacks there with Max Cutforth trying to get ready. I mean, what do you think that's like for him, man? He talked about it, but it's one thing to get thrown in there in the second quarter or late first quarter, whenever it was, and just kind of not have time to think about it and go. But now he's had, 8-9 days here to sit around and knowing he's the starting quarterback at Boise State, the first local Treasure Valley, kid to start a game at quarterback for Boise State since 1992. And he said he had people coming out of the woodwork, texting him, telling him good luck, people he hadn't talked to in a while. I mean, all of a sudden everybody wants to be his friend now, Winston. And he's the starter at Boise State. Just mentally, what do you think that's like for him? And as he tries to kind of lock in and get ready for a big opportunity on Saturday?
Yeah, well, I can tell you this. He probably wasn't sitting around for 8 to 9 days or whatever you just said. I'm sure he was in the playbook getting some extra throws in. And we talked about that last week, that hopefully this was an opportunity for him to, grab a couple receivers and continue to work on some timing and get some throws and spend probably more time than anybody else would in that building to prepare for being QB1. And man, it's got to be exciting. It's got to be nerve-wracking, exciting, but these guys are college football players, man. I mean, they want this opportunity to go out there and compete and show their skills. So I think he's probably got a little combination of all sorts of things brewing in that body and in that mind. But if you hear the interviews and he carries himself with that confidence, that is not only great for him, because if you don't have confidence and you step on that football field, good luck, but also, for his teammates, to have a guy that feels confident, that speaks in the way he does, that just instills more confidence throughout everybody. And like I said, you can't have a guy go in there timid and nervous and especially express that, because the opposite will happen for your teammates if you word things the wrong way.
Now, they made him available to the media yesterday, and like you said, and I will preface my comment here, Winston, by saying I don't think that would have happened under Andy Avalos, and I don't think that would have happened maybe even under Brian Harsin, where a kid getting ready to make his first career start, they're going to just throw up in front of the media 4 days before the game. And so I think that says a lot about the staff, but also how they believe in Max and how they believe he's ready for this, and it's not going to be too big of a moment. And I'm not even saying how Andy or Brian handled it was wrong. I'm just saying it's different, that they would not have let him talk. They would have wanted him to focus and then maybe let him and not have all the headlines and stories and allow him to possibly say something that, like he said yesterday, maybe that would have come out the wrong way or whatever, and just not have any extra headlines, just focus on football. And either after the game or next week or before the bowl game or when things calm down, then kind of let him talk. And, but Spencer Danielson, no, Max Cutforth, get up there and talk with the media. And he did talk, I think, during fall camp or earlier in the season. This wasn't his first ever media interview, so I do think maybe that was part of it. If this had been his first ever interview, maybe they would have waited till later. But the fact that he did talk, I think, during fall camp or the first or couple weeks of the season, maybe the Air Force week when he got in there and played, maybe that had something to do with it. But overall, before we kind of get into a couple of things he said, what did you make of them allowing him to talk yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like what you said. I mean, good by them in a sense of get out in front of things, answer some questions, and move on, right? I mean, we're going to treat you like anybody else. You are the starting quarterback for the program, so it's not, you're the starting quarterback and you're a freshman and we're going to hide you, and this is too big of a moment for you to go handle. I think that shows that, Max, you got as a quarterback, almost by position, you kind of get into that leader of the team category, right? I mean, you balls in your hands every day. You're, every play you're addressing the team, your offense, you're communicating the most. So, I mean, he is the face at the quarterback position, and that comes with responsibilities. And some of those responsibilities even are talking to the media. So not super surprising to me. But, obviously he's mature enough to handle that, and they weren't worried about that, so they let him rip.
Yeah, and it's funny because sometimes the media, I'm sure when they weren't letting Taylor Green talk or they weren't letting Brett Rippon talk, or whatever, we're like, complaining about it. I'm sure I was at the front of the list complaining, why aren't they letting him talk? Come on, the fans want to hear from him. You're hurting the kid. It's his story we want to tell, and all you're doing is hurting the kid and hurting the fans. You want to hear about these players, and I get it. And typically the fans take the side of the coaches. Oh, I trust the coaches. They want to do, let them focus on, whatever's better. I mean, there's nothing wrong with eliminating outside distractions, focusing on football, and that's typically, and you're not wrong. I mean, that's typically what over my years of complaining, whenever you complain about interviews and things like that, I've kind of learned the fans usually take the coach's side on that. Don't let them do anything, focus on football, and I do get that, so to speak, but like a 10-minute interview where you walk in there into the little room, Winston, for 10 minutes, like it's not like they always said he didn't have time and all this kind of stuff. Like 10 minutes once a week to come in and talk to the media, like you can't find 10 minutes to come in there and talk. Like there's always time to come do the interview. So I never really took that excuse as part of it. Like, is that 10 minutes that we talked to him? And I guess it was like 13. That's kept him from the 13 minutes of film. That's going to be the difference between winning or losing. Like, I don't know. But with that said, I appreciate them bringing him in. I thought he did a nice job. I do think he was put in a tough spot with a couple of the questions. I encourage folks to go watch the entire interview. And I'm not trying to single out, individual media members, friends of ours, guys that work here on BNN. I just think he was kind of in a tough spot no matter what, because everybody's going to pick and pull and try to, like you said, get headlines and say, oh, he thinks he's better than Maddox, or, oh, he thinks this, he thinks he should have been starting. And, there was a couple of questions. What do you think you do better than Maddox, and there, stuff like that. And he did the best he could with some of the answers, but I don't know if the answers necessarily came off either the way he wanted or didn't come off, and what's he supposed to say. And, do you want to be the starter here? And that's the clip I'm about to play from Max is, do you want to be the starter here? And again, what's he supposed to say? I want to keep my seat warm for, I want to keep my seat.
He's a football player, man. If you don't have that mentality, then see you later, dude.
Well, let's hear what he said. Let's hear what he said first, and then we'll discuss.
Right. Absolutely. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to play. I'm here to compete, and this is just another stepping stone towards that goal.
So in your mind, you want to be the starting quarterback for the next 27 games or whatever it is?
Absolutely.
Quote, absolutely, Winston. He wants to be the starting quarterback here moving forward. And as he said, is that kind of your mindset to, hey, this isn't a 1 or 2 week thing. This is something you want to take with it and run with it and never give this job back. And his quote was absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, no, don't get me wrong. I think there's probably some really nice backup jobs in the NFL, second, third string quarterback, where not saying that those guys don't want to be the starter, but you're getting paid a whole lot of money to be the backup or the third string guy, help out with some clipboard work, and have a 10-year career. That's a pretty sweet gig if you ask me in the NFL. But I can almost guarantee you that those guys want to be starters. They want to play. So back to it, man. Like, these guys are 18 to 22 years old. They're hungry. They're football players. They're confident football players. I don't know many people that I've ever come across in the sports world that are okay with or want to just be a backup. Sure, there may be some guys that are very fortunate and blessed to be a part of a roster. Hey, man, I could have went to a Division II school. I could have went to an FCS school and probably been a guy, but I have a great opportunity to contribute, compete, practice, maybe get fired up to be a scout team type of guy at a big time university. Some people might feel that, but mostly I would say that guys are out there to compete, to play in front of thousands of fans, to play on national television. And that's what Max has got as an opportunity. And I'm sure he's fired up, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah. If he would have just said, no, I'm just keeping the seat warm for Maddox. I'm content. It's his job. I mean, that would have made you, okay, is he not a competitor that you want out there then, I mean, of course you want him to say that he wants to be the starter. So I didn't make too much of that in terms of headlines and things. And then, what are you better than Maddox? I thought we kind of put him in a tough spot there in terms of trying to compare himself to Maddox. he talked about his own leadership and he talked about his own ability to make some plays. I necessarily took that as he thinks he's a better leader or he thinks he makes more plays than Maddox. He just talked about himself positively, and then it kind of came out afterwards, oh, he thinks he's a better leader, he thinks he's a better player. I don't necessarily know if that's what he meant by it. I think he just kind of was, he even joked like, oh, I hope Maddox doesn't see this. And he talked about how great Maddox has been helping him this last week and how they feed off each other back and forth. So yeah, I think he wants to play, but I don't think he's like some cocky guy that thinks he already thinks he's better and should have been playing all along.
No, I wouldn't say that. And like you've expressed, put in a tough situation to answer, whatever kind of heat comes out his way. So not a whole lot of experience. He's a young kid, not sitting in front of you guys doing those type of interviews, and not obviously in this situation before. So, he handled that pretty well in my opinion. And yeah, man, he, did a good job and said what he needed to say. If somebody asked me, well, yeah, just it's tough, BJ, to be able to navigate those words. You still have to sound confident. You still have to sound like you have strengths. And if the question is, what do you do different? Then sounds like he, try to have an honest answer with it.
Yeah, no doubt. What do you make in terms of what we saw from him? 14 of 29, 106 yards in that game, was kind of hanging in the pocket too long and took some sacks. I mean, the speed of the game certainly looked like it was going pretty quick for him there. But getting those 3 quarters of experience, I mean, not necessarily one drive against Air Force or whatever it was, but getting 3 full quarters, 8, 9, 10 drives, even if it didn't go very well, just to get all of that experience and then have 2 weeks to really kind of focus moving forward. How much better do you expect him to be come Saturday?
I mean, obviously, getting those in-game reps, that's super valuable. At the same time, I don't think that it all falls on him. I don't think you can really look at his body of work. Obviously, that drive in Air Force, he went down and did well. And it was, not the same against Fresno State. But I just go back to looking a little bit of what the rest of the team did from an offensive line perspective and the run game. Nothing was really clicking from Boise State against Fresno State. So I would hope that nobody goes and does anything more than they have to, and Max doesn't try to press too much, but he's not the one with defensive line in his face, causing fumbles and not being able to get the ball off. And there was a couple throws, drop ball, tip ball, things like that. So everybody just has to tighten up their game. It's not definite. I wouldn't look at his Fresno State game and be like, grading him necessarily. I mean, he got thrown into the fire. Tough ball game. Fresno State played well, and the Broncos didn't play that well. Bottom line, from top to bottom, all positions, offense, defense, special teams, just wasn't a great showing. So we kind of got to maybe give him a little bit of time to then sit back here and critique him or whatnot on where his body of work is, because it's a very, very small sample, and it was not the Broncos playing their best ball from all positions.
How different is it though for him to have these 2 weeks to prepare and study the game plan and be ready and get all the reps? And I know, he even admitted in the interview yesterday, and again, you can watch the full interview up on our YouTube channel, BroncoNationNews.com. He said, when you're the backup, you'd like to think you prepare the same way. You say you're ready, you say nothing's different, but he said you'd be lying if that were the case. You just know when you're not the starter, you just maybe don't spend that extra 5 minutes looking at the game plan one more time or looking at that one extra clip of film. Like when you're the starter, he said you try to make it be the same, but now that he looks at it and he's realizing all the work he's putting in this week as the starter, he's like, yeah, this is way different than when you're, helping out Maddox and trying to get ready, but you're probably not going to play. Like this is a much different deal when you're the starter for 2 weeks. And so all the film he's watching, all the studying of the game script and the plays and the game plan, like how much different is it? How much more prepared? And again, not saying he wasn't prepared before, but when you get thrown in late in the first quarter in a game you weren't sure you were going to play, and now you've had 2 weeks to study and prepare and work 100% with all your receivers in practice, like how much better equipped do you think he'll be going into Saturday's game with these 2 weeks?
Yeah, a lot better. I mean, the mental side of it, understanding that you are playing, you can start envisioning that and seeing yourself out there making the plays and the throws and having the confidence that you're not just an injury away. You are the guy that's going out there and playing. So heightened sense of urgency, with the time off, ability to build more confidence, get on the same page with the receivers, and get those reps. So, I mean, I think it's a significant amount of, mental prep, especially that he's been able to go through, knowing that he's going to go in there and be the guy.
Well, one of the reasons, one of the things that could help him is that running game, and I want to talk about that running game and Dylan Riley and specifically here in a second, Winston. But first, we want to thank folks and thank our title sponsor, roepaint.com, roepaint.com. All your painting needs. Make sure you hit up our title sponsor, Andy Rowe, roepaint.com, whether that's interior, exterior painting, those concrete coatings, that painter for a day project where you provide the paint, they provide the painter, and they can do whatever you need done inside your house. roepaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. It was nice to see that logo back inside Extra Mile Arena last night at the game. They got 7 NIL deals with student athletes. They're back on board as a sponsor of Boise State. So ICCU.com. Check them out. Idaho Central Credit Union, online at ICCU.com. The Broncos scored 83 points last night. I believe you get a free taco. I'm trying to figure out all the details of that. They threw it on the screen, and I'll hopefully have that. If anybody knows the exact details, let me know. But 83 points last night. They were putting free tacos all over the screen. So TacoBellWorks.com, the SON Management Group, and we appreciate Treasure Valley Taco Bell locations, where apparently if the Broncos get 83, you can get a free taco. We'll be telling you more about that moving forward from our friends at Taco Bell. Hey, tonight, 7:30, Latrell Caples will be the special guest on the Riley and Ridge Show, 7:30, special start time at the James Kitchen and Bar. If you want to meet Latrell Caples tonight, bring those trading cards, get them signed, whatever you got. We'll be outside on the covered, heated patio at the James Kitchen and Bar tonight. Riley Smith, Kent Riddle, and Latrell Caples. That'll be at 7:30 tonight. So if you can't make it, you can come watch the show tonight at 7:30, and then that will be followed at a special time of 8:30 by the Sanford and Johnny Show Ball Talk. So 2 football shows tonight. 7:30 to 8:30 will be the Jacksons Presents the Riley and Ridge Show with Latrell Caples live at the James. And then 8:30 to 9:30 will be Ball Talk with Johnny and Sanford tonight. So 2 live shows tonight on Bronco Nation News. Hey, the Blue and Orange store, they got your Boise State gear. If you want that Max Cutforth jersey, you want it by Saturday, they got you there. They can make customized jerseys in minutes at the Blue and Orange store at the Hall of Fame location there down at Boise State. They also have the location out there at the Boise Town Square Mall. 4,000 plus hats on the hat wall at the location downtown. They got more at the location out there at the mall, but great stuff, great selection, great prices. Check them out online at the Blue and Orange Store.com. We mentioned the fall kickoff sale, Lithia Ford of Boise, our pregame show sponsor. There's Latrell Caples again. They're providing a vehicle for him and a lot of coaches, administrators, and players, and we appreciate Jim Sturk and company. If you want to support the NIL game, support somebody who is supporting Boise State in the NIL game as big as anybody, that's Jim Sturk and company. So Lithia Ford of Boise, check them out online, lithiafordboise.com. Make them your spot for your next vehicle purchase. All right, Winston, we've kind of talked about this, but the running game certainly is going to be a big key. There is some weather expected in San Diego. I don't know if you've seen the weather report, but it is expected to be raining Thursday night, pretty much all day Friday, and then Saturday as well. So the field could be a little muddy, wet, and it could be raining during the game. There are a lot, we're 4 days away. A lot can change with the weather, but the early indications have game time and Saturday night being a wet, rainy game for this one. So that would seem to think that the running game is going to be an even bigger emphasis, more penalty yards than rushing yards in the last game. How do they get that running game going on Saturday night?
Yeah, they gotta feed those boys the rock. It all starts up front, right, with the O-line and attacking the defensive front and all those things and getting good push off the ball. But just got to be consistent with it, right? I think sometimes you get behind in games and you start pressing and throwing the ball a little bit more and things like that. But probably got to just find some consistency overall in the run game, whether that's positionally or player-wise, personnel-wise, who's going to get into a rhythm and get out there and play a little bit more consistently and give those guys the best shot. But run game always starts up front with the O-line, getting push off the ball.
All right, Dylan Riley. Again, I know you can make stats look any way you want to, Winston, good, bad, whatever. But the facts are when he gets at least, I think it's actually like 8 carries. When he gets at least 8 carries in a game, Boise State is 5-0. And you look at some of the losses when they're only scoring 7 points. He hasn't had the, some of the performances in those games. I mean, look at the game log, and I'm looking at Dylan Riley's game log right now. In the USF game, they lose 34-7. He had 7 carries for 20 yards. When they lose at Notre Dame, he only had 5 carries for 33 yards. And then when they lose to Fresno, only 6 carries for 16 yards. So I guess it is when he gets at least 10 carries, I guess more than 7 carries. Boise State is 5-0. And he had 19 carries in the Air Force win, 16 in the App State win, 18 in the New Mexico win, 15 in the UNLV win, 12 in Reno. Looks like it's a pretty, not taking nothing away from any of the other backs. Maybe they're just passing too much. I don't know. But when Dylan Riley gets the rock, they seem to win. And Spencer Danielson and Nate Potter seem to realize that and promise that changes are coming here.
All 3 are going to be involved in this game plan. All 3 are going to have plays for them, and we're going to run the hot hand. But I'll be the first to say, getting Dylan Riley touching the ball 6 times can't happen. And that's on me as a head coach. We got to have a plan to make sure he touches the ball more than that, and that won't happen again.
Yeah. No, you said it. It's common sense, and if he doesn't get enough touches, it's my fault, and he has to because he's one of our most explosive players. So at the end of the day, that's on me to get done, and we will get that done moving forward.
Your take to their comments there, Winston.
Yeah, man, I think it's interesting just because I think it goes back to like week 1. I mean, we've talked about it just, I want to say, in Danielson's presser or right before the game, he had mentioned something about not knowing who the starter is. And I wasn't a believer in it just because I think from a mental perspective, you're going to want to know like who's going out there and getting the first reps. But it almost seemed like the USF game that it was kind of unknown. We got 3 guys and they're all going to play and it's personnel based and package based and whatnot. But it doesn't seem like something that's maybe that the running back spot hasn't been solidified in their minds as a starter or somebody that is their go-to guy. Now, from my perspective and probably Bronco Nation's perspective, without those stats, I think that we've all seen Dylan Riley do a heck of a job and can be a home run hitter and really explosive runs like Nate Potter alluded to. So that's, a couple games in, I think you start to see like, oh, he's emerging to be the guy. And there was a lot of talk about Sire Gaines being the number 1 guy. And then it was almost like, hey, Dylan Riley is the go-to number 1 back. And I don't think that that's necessarily been established inside the program because a lot of those guys are getting reps, they're sharing reps, and there's just been some inconsistencies that we've seen that you've alluded to, and it sounds like that they've also recognized. But for me, it goes right back to some of the comments made earlier in the season that just haven't necessarily gotten ironed out within that room. And probably a pretty challenging job, right? Just, for these coaches to figure it out when you do have these weapons, you do have these guys with different skill sets. Maybe they're not seeing a Dylan Riley emerging as the number 1 guy. So they want to figure out ways to complement the offensive packages that they have. But tough job to have as a offensive coordinator, running back coach, trying to manage reps. And I think that goes back to a little bit of what they do need to try to find, just some consistency. I understand the hot hand deal. And in order to get a hot hand, you got to get rolling. You got to get the reps. So hopefully they can just get somebody in there to have a little more consistency.
And I mean, unless they're just talking, blowing smoke to screw up, San Diego State or whatever. I mean, it certainly sounds like we're going to see plenty of Dylan Riley on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
I mean, one coach called it common sense, and then another coach called it can't. I think Spencer said it, quote, can't happen, that he only gets 6 carries in a game. And Bronco 130 says, funny that the coaches are acting surprised and are now going to fix it. Agree, Winston. We have seen him run. Potter seems to be favoring Sherrod for whatever reason. All 3 guys are different kind of backs. They have different value, and I know you want to get all 3 involved, but again, the proof is in the pudding. When Dylan Riley gets those carries, they find a way to win these games.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, man, I think we see what we can see. We've seen a sample of now a pretty good sample of what the Broncos are all about or what their personnel looks like. But I will bring up, even we discussed it a few weeks back, just like going back to like Ashton Genty and him coming off the field, like maybe he's not prepared to be the 3rd down guy for pass protection. Maybe some of these Boise State running backs, like some similarity there where it's like, hey, this is the this is best suited for this guy for X reason or Y reason, and we just don't really know the reasons why. The coaches would have those answers, but I don't think we can speculate too much that we have the answers and that they just didn't know. I mean, it's kind of like, they see the reps, they know, you tally all that stuff inside, so you see guys' production on a positive or a negative. So hopefully they just figure out some type of consistency with any of those backs and they can get rolling. Because as I've said, in order to have a hot hand, it does not just mean that Sherrod breaks off a 40-something yarder and now he's got the hot hand. I mean, it takes a couple tackles for loss or a 1-yard gain or a 2-yard gain to get rolling from the running back position. So you got to give these guys opportunity to get rolling and live with it. Right. And, and get those guys opportunity to then bust one out and break it for 40, 50 yards.
Well, and I also think nothing against Malik Sherrod, but like, he's gone after this season. See ya. Like, I mean, you're trying to, in this NIL era and trying to take care of guys and keep guys here and keep guys happy. I know it maybe shouldn't be part of it, and you play 100% the best guy that's going to win that game for you. And if that play is best run by this player, that's the player you put in there. But if you want Dylan Riley and Sire Gaines to be your 2 featured backs next season, they need to be your 2 featured backs this season, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's the roster management, game time management. It's a whole nother deal that these coaches got to handle. And you said it. I mean, I think across college sports, you can identify some things where coaches have to do exactly what you're saying, and it's super unfortunate, but it's just the reality that we're in. It's like, got to keep old guys happy,
Yeah. And I guess Winston, I mean, the over-under is only 42 points, one of the lowest over-unders I can remember. I mean, the Vegas spread, if you kind of project out what they're seeing like a 22-19, San Diego State win is kind of what the numbers would tell you in terms of a low-scoring game. San Diego State is a 3-point favorite at home. They give you a 3-point, spread at home. So it's essentially a coin flip type game. I mentioned the weather could be a factor as well, but if you're looking for some positives for Boise State, if it's going to be a lower scoring game, the defense has played well, the last month or so of the season, getting turnovers. And I know they gave up 30 points. So they were put in a really tough spot with some of those field position, with some of the turnovers against Fresno, and they were in kind of no-win situations in some of those. So I have more confidence in the defense than I have in a while. And I just, San Diego State's offense, this may come back to bite me. I said it earlier in the week. Maybe they're putting this on their bulletin board in their team room or playing this, whatever. But I'm not as scared of San Diego State's offense as some of the offenses Boise State has played this year. And I think the defense can limit them. It's just going to be, can Boise State's offense do just enough to muster, 1 more point than them?
Yeah. I mean, I think the guys got to go out there and play Bronco football. And if they do that, that's not just on Max's shoulders, right? Like you mentioned, the defense stepping up and, going out there and playing well. I think San Diego State's got a pretty stout defense as well. So, defensive battle in that sense. And like we've talked about earlier, I mean, maybe the rain is a blessing and throwing the ball is not the way to go. And they can just pound the rock and go and attack it. And I think that Boise State has all the tools necessary to go out there and win a game. This is not just on the quarterback, and defense has to play well. They have to step up with their tackling and flying to the ball, and then everybody's just got to help contribute and raise their game and elevate their game to what we've seen from last week. And I think the only way to see that is give these guys an opportunity on Saturday to go down there and show it and prove it.
Hey, Snake River Pool and Spa Patio and Game, thespateam.com. They got 4 locations. They've been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team. If you're looking for a sauna, a spa, maybe a pool table, they got you covered. Snake River Pool and Spa Patio and Game online at thespateam.com. Ridley's Family Markets, shop ridleys.com. 13 locations across the state of Idaho, surrounding states as well. Make sure you download that Skip app. You can get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line. Love that Cuno location. Love Ridley's Family Markets. Again, online, shopridleys.com. You looking for a job? How about transportation compliance service? They can help you get into the trucking industry every step of the way. Transcomservice.com. The trucking industry is booming right now. And if you're looking for a new job, whether it's DOT, overweight, all the permits, paperwork, let the professionals handle it for you. Local company helping out folks all over the world. Transportation compliance service. Our friend Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. He'll be on the show on Friday as we get set for the Montana State game on Saturday. But the number number 1 ranked realtor in the Northwest is Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Check them out online at BauscherRealEstate.com. And I know everybody has 4 or 5 friends that are realtors in this town, but you want someone that's going to fight for every dollar for you. That's Matt Bauscher, best in the business, online at BauscherRealEstate.com. And our friends at Signature Roofing present the voice inbox, speakpipe.com/BNN, football, basketball, whatever you got. If you want to leave us a voicemail, you can do that on the Signature Roofing voice inbox line, speakpipe.com/BNN. And it's brought to you by our friends at Signature Roofing, covering our community for more than 2 decades, whether it's a re-roof, a repair, an estimate, or an inspection. Check them out online, Signature Roofing at mysignatureroofing.com. All right, final thing I got for you, Winston, and I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, so I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but you're the ultra motivator, ultra positive guy. When people hear you talk, you just fire everybody up for a game. A little tense right now. Bronco Nation, backup quarterback making his first start. They saw him. It didn't quite go well against Fresno, that they get booed off the field, and Spencer said, hey, I would have booed myself too. They're underdogs on the road. It's not looking quite as great for the conference championship. The playoffs kind of already out the window. If Spencer Danielson asked you to come in and speak to the team at some point before Saturday's game, or if you want to speak to this fan base or put it all kind of together, what's kind of your motivational message here to the players, the fans, everybody about these last 3 weeks of the season here?
I would just say this, BJ, we're right where we need to be, man. This is blue collar, chip on your shoulder, underdog mentality. And there doesn't need to be any talk about championships, CFP, anything like that. The Boise State Broncos, they lay in the weeds. They do what is unexpected. So go out there and do what the Boise State Broncos do. Be the underdog, put the chip on the shoulder, and go get the W. And then shut a bunch of people up. So I mean, it's very simple. It's not any position that the Boise State Broncos haven't been in, and I like it in this manner because it allows them to go do what we do best and have that chip on the shoulder and go get a W when people don't think that we're going to get a W.
And it does seem like the kind of game, Winston, where it is a class. I mean, I've covered this team as my 13th season. Obviously, I've done research and things on previous years, but in the 13 years I've been here, whenever and even reading about previous teams, whatever, like this is the kind of game where everyone's counting you out. This is the kind of game where no one's giving you a chance. Even your own fan base is not expecting a win, and you're underdogs, and you got a backup quarterback, and everyone's telling you you're not the best team in the conference anymore, and all this kind of stuff. Where we could be looking up at midnight on Saturday and it's 31-14 and they had a dominating performance and they're kind of going, yep. There's a reason we've won this league 2 years in a row. We still run this conference and we're going to run this conference till we leave here in a couple of months and go out with the three-peat. I mean, circumstances, obviously a lot can happen, whatever, but on the paper, on the surface, they've been in this game before, and more times than not, they usually put up a pretty strong statement in a positive way.
Yeah, man, this program's never been about rankings. It's never been about talking to the media. This is just about going out there, playing Bronco football, and surprising people with the product on the field and getting the job done. So they have every opportunity to go out there and do that, prove that, and put themselves on notice. When everybody thinks that the Broncos are down or not going to go win, that's when we go do our best. So I like the opportunity. I think it's a healthy challenge, and hope these guys accept the challenge, and go attack this thing.
Well, we'll see what happens on Saturday. Plenty more coverage the next couple of days to get you ready. Dylan Riley, speaking of him, he's actually talking to the media today. So we'll talk to Dylan Riley, get that interview, that story posted later today, BroncoNationNews.com. Marco Notriani, a San Diego native. He'll be talking to the media today. We talked to Jaden Virgin Morgan, also from the San Diego area, yesterday. So some of these guys going back home. And Jaden Virgin Morgan, a little fired up. I know he's played San Diego State before, but I asked him if he had an offer coming out of high school from San Diego State, and he said no. And I said, does that kind of put a little extra chip on your shoulder anytime you play San Diego State? Because he had a big game against them 2 years ago, I think. And he said, yeah, I'm not going to lie. Like, the hometown school doesn't offer you a scholarship. Yeah, I'm thinking about that when I go back down there. So maybe Jaden Virgin Morgan comes up with a strip sack or a couple of big plays on defense, and Marco Notriani going back home as well. Your boy Matt Lauder, right, from the area as well, was at Torrey Pines High School. So Spencer Danielson going back home too. So they got some San Diego flavor.
Yeah, man. This California games are always great for Broncos. A lot of California kids on the roster, man. It's a nice place to go visit and pencil in as a fan that wants to go to some away games, a little San Diego action. So those guys are going to be fired up, man. I getting the bye week and having a break can be very positive because you get to work on things, you get to relax the mind and the body and all those things. But I can almost guarantee you that those guys are chomping at the bit to get out there and get out on this field. And then they're, doing it in California. A lot of guys are from Cali. They are going to be fired up, hopefully not too geeked out. You don't peak too soon, but you better peak. And they'll go out there and hopefully just play their best, man, and play with that high effort and physicality and aggression and downhill run game, and let the coaches perform at their best and put it all out there. And whatever happens at the end, man, whatever. But let's go see some Bronco football. I'm excited.
I like that. Don't peak too soon, but you better peak. I like that. I like that.
Man.
Hey, by the way, people are asking about Chris Marshall. He is back at practice, and Spencer said he was back and expected to play Saturday. So I don't think there's anything there with Chris Marshall, at least as of Monday when we talked to Spencer Danielson on that. So Winston, appreciate your time as always. Hope folks will go subscribe at BroncoNationNews.com. Check out our YouTube channel, tons of content there. You can jump in the message boards and continue your conversation there in the chat throughout the day. And as I said, we're talking to Marco, we're talking to Dylan Riley today. We'll get those interviews posted to our YouTube channel this afternoon. We'll have 2 live shows tonight. We'll see at 7:30 at the James Kitchen and Bar. Latrell Caples, the special in-person guest on the Riley and Ridge Show. As always, your first beverage is on me if you're a paying subscriber. We got some trading cards to pass out from our friends at Jackson's as well. Only a couple packs left here, Winston. So we'll give away some trading cards tonight, and that'll be 7:30 on our YouTube channel if you can't make it in person. And then the Sanford and Johnny Ball Talk show will be right after at 8:30 as well. So 2 live shows tonight on Bronco Nation News. And then Johnny and I will be back 9 a.m. tomorrow. Prater and I on Friday. And then it's off to San Diego. Unfortunately, the weather does look a little rainy, but we'll still be on the scene, pregame, postgame, all that coverage for Bronco Nation News and BroncoNationNews.com. He's NFL PA agent Winston Venable, doing great things with VSG Pro. And my name is BJ Rains. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you at 7:30 tonight. We'll see you in the message boards. We'll see you online. Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com.